I have one question and one suggestion, but I'm glad the young lady there just asked the question, and you and Congressman just address. What can we do in order to help you to expand, for human rights too? And I think both of you addressed that. So I just make this suggestion that, first of all, I know you and your college, your former college, have made a good progress in human rights issue in Vietnam, but there's still a lot of things need to be done. And I know that you have a limitation, but I hope with your power, you will advance, continue fight for human rights in Vietnam, and especially for the people who have been in prison right now, and make sure they are in safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hear you.
I'm speaking here on behalf of the U.S. citizen, as well as resident of Cam Go City, also as an activist in the Vietnamese community from 3 decades ago. My concern is, it seems to me that the U.S. consulate in Ho Chi Minh City, as well as the embassy in Hanoi, are trying to cover all the human rights violations and oppressions in Vietnam, like the hiding of the big scandal just been exploded lately in the non-immigration visa bribery scam in the Consulate General of Ho Chi Minh City, involving Mr. Michael Sesta. Due to so many and continuous violations and oppressions in religious and human rights in Vietnam, I wonder why Vietnam was not put back to CPC list, because they didn't do any progress in human rights. Don't let me think that the U.S. State Department and especially the U.S. Embassy in Vietnam ignore or forgot about the principle for human rights issues set up by the founding fathers of this great country in the Constitution in 1776. Upon your sharing words, I think that the foreign policy just have some amendment about the issue of human rights that is focused only on economic interest and disregard all the human rights issues all over the world.
On the subject, again, on the subject of the events at Consulate General Saigon, when we do everything we can to prevent consular malfeasance. When we find it, we prosecute it, and that's what we're doing. I've already described our position on CPC, and just let me say that we take religious freedom very seriously. I'm not here to defend the Vietnamese practices on human rights and freedom of religion. I'm here to share with you my thoughts on how we can move forward. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're working on it.
Before I come to this meeting, I prepare some questions to ask you, but I think you answer. So I'm having some new questions in accordance to related to what you just presented. What I see, you try so much on different aspects to promote the human right in Vietnam, from medical, from education, etc. That's the way. But how do you just US yourself? Why you don't invite the whole international, create a campaign in all the entire world to against with the situation in Vietnam that we said it's the worst of worst in human rights? That's my first question. regarding second question is in 1974, the China used the strength of their float, sink our float in Paracel Islands. And evidently, they invade that land, that island belonged to us for centuries. What I would like to see, what is the plan for you, for US and your alliance, in our alliance, because I'm US citizen for 35 years. What is our plan to control and make them back off the China from its plan? I don't think US can do it yourself. But how about US and alliance? Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you very much. I'll answer the second question first on South China Sea. The South China Sea issue is a very critical diplomatic issue throughout the East Asian region. And it's an issue that everybody has an interest in who wants freedom of navigation on the seas, who wants peace and stability in Southeast Asia, because the South China Sea is an extremely important trade route, is extremely important strategic waterway. So, beginning in 2009, we began having conversations with the Vietnamese and other ASEANs on the subject of the South China Sea. And we agreed with the ASEANs that the best way to pursue this diplomatically at this time was to promote respect for the Declaration of Conduct and to promote the negotiation of a code of conduct. Separately, other countries interested in the South China Sea are also cooperating more closely with Vietnam and the other ASEAN countries, including Australia, Japan, and South Korea. All of those countries have an interest in freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. So we think regional consultations on this subject have grown considerably over the past 3 or 4 years. There's a lot more work to do. This problem isn't going to go away overnight, but I can tell you that the United States is committed to a peaceful resolution of this conflict. We want peace and stability in Southeast Asia. We want the claimants to the South China Sea, including the ASEAN countries and China, to resolve their differences peacefully, and if they can't resolve their differences, to manage the problem peacefully. And we've said the same thing to the Chinese, and I expect that President Obama will have a discussion with President Xi Jinping on this issue when they meet in California next week.
My name is Andang. I have a very short question about the visa. And I heard the rumor that this October, that means another 4 months, there won't be the visa issue for sibling, brother or sister, and we stop issue the visa. Is that you confirm or deny, that rumor? And secondly, if you apply for the immigrant visa, and then you cannot apply for the traveling visa, so that's true or not? Thank you.
I can't answer that question because I don't know the answer, but we'll get back. I'll get back to you on that. If you come up after this, we can figure out how to communicate, and we'll be in touch with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I can try to answer some of that question. And I think the rumor is, what you're hearing is about siblings. That has to do with the Immigration Reform Act that is in the in the Congress now is in the United States Senate. It does not eliminate siblings, but it puts a time limit of 18 months, I believe, on siblings. We will learn more about that. They are going to be holding public hearings on that starting next week, and this issue will be one of the issues that will be brought up before, one of the amendments before. We should all pay attention to that, because we have not seen the language yet in the House of Representatives, but that is beginning to be presented in the United States Senate. That will be the next couple of months, the Immigration Reform Act, and that is one of the issues that were not clear, but I'm glad you raised it. We will be watching it very closely to make sure that there really will be family reunification. It is very important that this Immigration Reform Act does allow for full family reunification, but that is one of the issues that we will be watching very closely.
Mr. Ambassador, my name is Lê Minh Nguyên, aka Robert Lê. I come from PHad David Party, but I would like to address to you as a Vietnamese American. I have one request and one question. The request is you, the ambassador, is my representative in Vietnam. The request is you need to, when you come back to Vietnam, you need to nail down the government on their old works. That means the Prime Minister, Nguyễn Tân Dung, yesterday in Shangri-La, in Singapore, he talked about, he called the civilized world to respect the United Nations Charter and international law and the universal principle and norms. And he asked for the whole humanity must respect it. So what I want to, as my messenger, tell them that the universal human rights declaration, the covenant on the political and civil rights, and the covenant on the economics, social and cultural rights, that the international law. And if they say to the world like this, they need to honor us. And because he taught, and everybody know about what he said. And my question is, every time the dissidents get arrested in Vietnam, and the embassy already issues the statement. In the statement, I already see it. We concern about the arrest. We call on the government, and only concern and call on is not enough. And we need more action. Look at the financial aid, look at the visa for the government to come to the United States. Can have some action on that too, because you have many venues to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With regard to your request, I'll pass the message. With regard to your question, we don't just issue statements. We keep very close track of these cases. We often request to be present at these trials, although our requests are usually are always turned down. We raise these cases repeatedly with the Vietnamese government, and as I mentioned earlier, we have said to the Vietnamese government that if they want a Trans-Pacific partnership, they're going to have to show demonstrable progress in human rights and the release of political prisoners and the increase in freedom of expression and freedom of association need to be paid attention to.
It's very important that we hear your questions, so try to be brief, and I think the ambassador and I will try to be brief in our answers.
So like the Congressman say, for the remaining questionnaire, would you please go straight to the question and skip any comments that you might have? Thank you.
My name is Kim Tran Deng, Vice President of the Vietnamese Community of San Diego. My question just about the same, like Mr. Nguyen just asked you, put the pressure on the financial part. As you said earlier, they've been receiving 25 billion from us. That's been all of us here. They receive our money. So we like to put the pressure on that part. And I'd like you to take that into consideration. And I'd like to hear that if you have any time frame for that. We cannot tolerate them to keep longer and longer not working on the human rights. So I'd like to hear that from you, sir. Thank you.
I hear you, and the financial part is, there's a financial chapter in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which will be negotiated very hard, and when we finish negotiating that agreement, Congress will have a shot at it. And it will be at that time that we'll have to demonstrate to Congress that the Vietnamese have achieved progress in human rights, and that will be part of it.
We hear about human rights in Vietnam, but my question is about the human rights for Vietnamese American citizens who travel to Vietnam. Reason why I ask the question is because for 1.5 years ago, my brother passed away for a motorcycle accident in Vũng Tàu. It takes for me 1 month to do all 80 paperwork. To take it is that the doctor found high injuries hospital, keep my brother body in hospital. Well, the human right, he keep when I come into the hospital in the Vietnamese France hospital for take my brother body to hometown and bury. So he has a machine, got the machine and go around my brother body, and it looks like it's cheap to me. I mean, if you don't make money, I go do something to the body. My brother passed away, so I don't. My question is, anything we can do more to help the people who travel to Vietnam to get the accident, to get what happened to them? I mean, that's my question.
I'm sorry to hear about your brother. I hear two parts to your question. One is about the treatment of returning Vietnamese Americans. And this really is an issue of reconciliation, isn't it? And we encourage the Vietnamese government to promote reconciliation. I think it's easier for Vietnamese Americans to travel to Vietnam now than it used to be, although there are still great obstacles for some of you, I'm sure. And tell us what those obstacles are, and we'll take them to the Vietnamese government. The second part of your question is the protection of American citizens. And it's our duty as embassies and consulates general to protect the rights of American citizens abroad. And we do everything we can to do that. And we've been doing it for a long, long time in our consular sections in embassies and consulates.
Thank you.
We don't always, I mean, since countries like Vietnam, it's not our country, so what we can do is often limited, but we do everything we can to assure the rights of American citizens abroad.
The person that say we have made some false name to say the South China Sea. That's not correct. The China is up north. The sea is down south. So we have to say Southeast Sea. The second is like this. I have heard that you have said you have made a lot of effort for human rights, but the result is moderate. So I think that the communists, right, China and US, and the communist leader in Hanoi doesn't want to go to with United States. Why? Because in 1975, the Saigon government fell. It doesn't matter. Benghazi, Betsy got attacked, and the Secretary Clinton said it doesn't matter. But I said that it did, because Benghazi, followed by Boston, by Paris, and London, Bushari. So now thousands of Chinese fishing boats swarm the Southeast Sea, every world trade. So I think that between United States and the Red China, there is a delicate line, and the communists, the Vietnamese communists, hesitate to go with, or they are afraid of China. That's my question is, what do you think? I want to know your thinking. Thank you.
On the subject of how we refer to the South China Sea, or the East Sea, or the Southeast Sea, this is very difficult. And we have this problem elsewhere. For example, the South Korean diplomats come to us all the time and they say, this isn't called the Japan Sea, it's called the East Sea. And it's always very hard to decide on a geographic designation that satisfies everybody, but thank you for your suggestion. I'm sorry, can you repeat the second part of your question?
Yes, now the communists say the way between United States with human rights, or he is afraid the Red China with despotism. So
yes,
there is a delicate line between.
Thank you very much. Vietnamese opinion with regard to the United States among the Vietnamese leadership is very, very complicated. There are some people who fought in the war who just still, for whom history weighs very heavily. There are some Communist Party ideologues who fear social and political change that more contact with America might inspire. There are some Vietnamese leaders who want more economic reform, and they believe that closer economic relations will help promote economic reform in Vietnam. There are other Vietnamese leaders who believe that Vietnam and the United States should cooperate more closely against China. So opinion in the Vietnamese government is very, very complicated. They are walking a very delicate line, and so are we.
My name is Diana Carey, and I'm a councilwoman from Westminster, and I thank you for coming today. My question relates to the new wave of boat people that we have that are going to, many of them are in Thailand because of the human rights abuses in Vietnam right now. And I know that those people have no status, and I was wondering, is our government doing anything to help those poor individuals that now are just trying to exist in other
There are several phenomena right now. One is the increase in boat people turning up in Australia, on Australian shores. And I think this year it's around 400. We don't know much yet about why those people are leaving Vietnam. I think it's a lot of them are from Nghệ An province in the north, and I think it's a combination of human rights and economic opportunity for them. And I've discussed this with the Australian ambassador in Hanoi, and we're watching it closely. And the Australian and American governments, of course, are discussing it at the capital level. With regard to the situation in Thailand, there is a flood of people from all kinds of places moving toward Thailand all the time, from North Korea, from Laos, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, from Burma. Thailand is a magnet for people who are fleeing repression or are seeking greater economic opportunities. And the main focus for these people who want refugee status is the UN Commission, the Office of the UN Commissioner, High Commissioner for Refugees in Bangkok. They are very busy. We are doing what we can to lighten their load. And if you have any relatives in Thailand who are experiencing slow service from organizations like UNHCR, please let us know and we'll look into it.
Mr. Ambassador, I was a Vietnamese veteran in the Republic of Vietnam and also a Vietnamese American citizen. And as you know, we love our the Republic Vietnam flag. And just in case you happen to be here and then just so we have the Republic of Vietnam flag in this room, are you objected or just give us the feeling how you feel?
Yeah, I want to hear from you, Mr. Ambassador. I want to hear from you about that.
I don't object to it. It's a free country. And it's your flag.
You sure?
Look, I'll tell you something. When I was preparing for this event, and I was reading a briefing memo for this event this morning, actually, I heard that my staff asked that there be no Republic of Vietnam flags flown up in this area. And I looked at it and I thought, what are they saying? You can fly the flag anywhere you want.
We have one more question.
So people have a right to host the South Vietnamese flag in Saigon and Hanoi. So
I don't think they do.
Mr. Ambassador, why don't you quit sugarcoating this thing about human rights? Because some of these people who are sitting here, they committed human rights violations when it was South Vietnam. Okay? Let the communists, let that country be what they are. You know, they're stuck in their ideology. We're in ours. Okay? And some of the very people right here committed human rights violations when it was South Vietnam. Okay? Another question is to the congressmen. When will you guys get your stuff together in Congress and think about the American people doing this immigration debate? You know, I've been out of work for 3 years already. You know, you guys in Congress, you guys think, oh, let's bring all these people in here. You know, how about us American people? You know, we don't have no jobs. I've been out of work for 3 years, Mr. Congressman. And you need to improve your website too. Thank you. I'm a combat veteran. I was in Quang Tri Province, Quezon, so
I would like to say that we are just now in a bipartisan way coming to talk about immigration reform that will be supported by the vast majority of Americans and will be supported by both parties in the Congress. Your second point is, why aren't we doing more about creating jobs in America? I strongly support the Americans with Jobs Act. I think we should be doing more. I have voted for it.
American people, Congressman.
We will. We are American. We are. Everyone here is American people. I am proud to represent the Vietnamese American community. I am proud to be your representative. You are Americans, and I am proud to be. I'd like to bring this town hall meeting to a close and to say this is just the first step on our journey. While this town hall meeting will close today, we are not at the end. We have just begun to begin to express to each other what needs to be done now in Vietnam. As a Congress member, I will tell you I listen very carefully. There are 4 or 5 concrete actions that you've asked me to please consider, and I have listed them. One is to prevent and become very aware to prevent the Vietnam from joining the UN Human Rights Council unless they demonstrate that they have eliminated their human rights violations. That's one. Two, to have the Congress again think about, consider to the State Department to put Vietnam back on the CPC list that is left. We want to do that. Three, you will have to help me in making sure that the Congress passes the Vietnam Human Rights Act of 2013, which I am a co-sponsor of. We have to work to get that through so the Congress sends out a clear message. And four, we have to let that message go forth that if Vietnam wants any economic benefits from the United States to join other nations in joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that we demand that they uphold their part of having eliminating human rights violations. That we can do all together. That's what we can do in a concrete way. And I want to thank the ambassador for coming to visit us today, coming to Little Saigon, making himself available not only to my office, but to everyone here. This is, again, just the first step in a journey. For us to have a relationship with our U.S. ambassador to Vietnam is very, very important, and we're going to invite him back because this is just, we're developing that relationship. I want to thank my colleagues who I work very closely with, both Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez and Congressman Ed Royce, who have been co-sponsors of this event and wonderful to work with. It's very important that we demonstrate that we are all together, and this is a bipartisan effort, and we are working together on this issue, on the issue. I want to thank also Coast Community College and the Coastline District, and the Coastline Community College for allowing us to have this wonderful event here. And I really want to thank two more things. One, I want to thank everybody here for caring so deeply about the condition of your friends and your relatives, and to say that as Americans, we stand for the highest principles. All of us in this room, we stand for human rights, and we stand for that all people have a right to assemble and to discuss things politically and not to fear repression from government. And that's why we're here in America, and that's what we demand, that if America is going to deal with Vietnam, that they uphold their part of the bargain, which they're not doing today. And that's our right and our obligation to speak out. It's not just a right, we are obligated to speak out. And I also just want to say, I want to thank my staff in both the Washington, D.C. office and my office here, and also the help of Congressman Royce and Congresswoman Sanchez in bringing everyone together, all the Westminster City Council and all that they have done to help us, the Westminster Police Department that is here, and everyone for making this such a successful first step on our journey. It's just the first step. And with that, Ambassador, thank you so much for giving us this.
Thank you, everyone. And now we have the president from the Florida Community College District. I just present a token of appreciation to Congressman Lowenthal and Ambassador Shear. Kính thưa quý vị, Phong xin được nhắc quý vị trong giới truyền thông báo chí chúng ta sẽ có buổi họp báo ngắn sau đây, và cái phòng họp báo sẽ là đối diện với cái phòng họp này. Và chúng tôi xin mời tất cả các vị đại diện cho các giới truyền thông báo chí có thể qua bên phòng họp báo để đại sứ Shear cũng như là ông Diện nữ Lowenthal có một cái phần họp báo ngắn cùng với tất cả quý vị. Xin cảm ơn.
Mark got a shot. Mark makes you Vietnamese so far.